My name's Caroline, and I work for the Gateway Region YMCA. And one thing you may not know about the Y is that we think stories are really important. We love to encourage people to tell stories and to listen to stories because we know that's how relationships are built. So today for Earth Day, I get to talk to you about nature crafts and storytelling. And so we're going to go through a few different ways to encourage kids to tell great stories. And so I want to start with a story of my own. This is a necklace that was given to me by my grandmother, and it looks just like a piece of smooth quartz, but it's not. It's actually a magic ice cube. And my grandmother gave this to me when I first started teaching, and it was given to her by a teacher that she loved and respected as well. And she explained to me what's magic about it is that it's not heat sensitive, it's sound sensitive. And so it begins to melt when it gets too loud in the classroom. So she would only wear it when she had a special group of kids who would help her make sure that it didn't get too loud and didn't melt. And so I love the way this connects me to my grandmother and also to imagining to over 100 years of teaching, because I've had it for 30 years, she was in the classroom for 60 years, and then it was given to somebody before her. So hopefully the crafts that we do today will get you and your kids to start telling each other stories. So we're going to do 3 different crafts. One is we're going to make an animal home, another is a leaf picture, and then the third will be message stones. And so I'm going to start thinking about an animal home just from this great picture from one of my favorite stories. So this is Kingcup Cottage, and Francesca was the main character in this story, and she loved her home and she loved her friends, and so it's all about her throwing a party in her home for her friends. So there's lots of different animal homes you can make. You could make one for insects or for bats or butterflies, but we're going to make a frog home for a frog like Francesca. And I have a garden, and so I'm hoping that this home will encourage frogs to live in my yard and eat the insects that might eat the vegetables in my garden. So I'd actually build this outside, but I brought some soil in here so that we can do it in the inside so none of our nature crafts blow away. And so what you want to do is find a quiet place away from the road, away from where the lawnmower's going to get there, and you're going to put your unglazed clay pot in the earth. And one of the wonderful things about this is it will absorb the moisture from the ground and as the condensation or the dew comes in. So you're going to get it good and tight in the ground, and I'm going to do that just by pouring some extra potting soil over it. And you can already see how it's kind of a cozy little nook, and we'll do it so it's nice and tight so it doesn't roll away. And then maybe I want to think about ways I could make this a cozier place for a frog. So maybe I will grab some leaves and put down a bed or a rug. Maybe I'll make a sign. I already made this little welcome home sign that I can stick in the dirt. I have this from when my kids were little. I'm going to put a Kermit the Frog outside so that the frog can feel welcome. And there's all sorts of fun ways that you can create a home that is fun for people who walk by to look at, but are also helpful for actual animals. Another craft I can do is I can create little stick figures. And I love this one because it looks like it's running out to hug somebody, and all I did was twist a little yarn around to make a shirt for my character, and I'm going to put him right in here. And I can also make maybe a little paper hat, so I have a paper circle here, and I'm just going to cut out a little piece there, and then I can wrap it and make a cone. And so I'm going to wrap it nice and tight like that, and tape the end down, And then I have a cute little paper hat to put on my animal or my person. And so these are great ways that you can create stories outside that create actual habitats for an animal and some fun and whimsy for people who come by. So the next craft we're going to do is we're going to use natural materials to inspire us and make us think of different characters or animals. And so if you look over here, you can already see, and let me turn it around for you, that this looks like a face. Like these petals could be eyes and a nose, and there's a little mouth there. I can turn it upside down and make him unhappy. Here's another one that makes me think of a face. And so if I grab another leaf, I can give him eyes, and there's another face. Or maybe I can make a character. Over here, this looks like a body and an arm. And so I'm gonna give it one more arm and a head, maybe some eyes, some hair. And this is a great way to do a craft because I don't have to worry about making mistakes. I can keep moving things around and adjust them so that they look the way I want them to look. And I know when you're doing crafts with young children or even older people, sometimes we get this idea of how we want something to look in our heads. And so you can give your child a starter page. So if they're gonna worry about getting the face just right, I went ahead and drew the face, and then I can use the natural materials to decorate it and to make it into a character with a story. And my daughter did this one yesterday for me. And so you can see she's got some really bright colored hair, some very fun earrings and a necklace. And so as we both work on our characters, we can tell stories about them and who they are and what age, what they're interested in. You can also use the natural materials themselves to inspire characters. So if you look at this one, it almost looks like it already has an eye and a mouth. And so you can just take a marker and start decorating. And maybe just draw right there on the veins of the leaves that already exist and give it some fins. And you can see, here's one I already did. And I just used the patterns and the veins of the leaf that were already there to inspire characters. And then maybe I can use these characters almost like puppets to tell a little story. And so that's a great way that you can just take the items that you found out on a walk and really begin to be creative with them. And so for our last craft, we're going to do message rocks. And I made one of those in advance so you can see it. And so here's my message rock. And it says, "Be the change." And so this reminds me of when I was first a Girl Scout, we did this activity. And every girl in the troop made a message rock and they took them down to the park by our houses and hid them different places for other girls to find. And I loved thinking about who might find my rock. I enjoyed finding some of the ones my friends had left on other occasions. And so especially as we're quarantining in our homes and some of the only times we get out maybe to walk around the neighborhood, this is an extra way to put a fun message there for other people who are gonna be out in your neighborhood. So I'm just gonna make a really simple one. The rocks are small, so you can't do a whole elaborate picture with them. I'm using permanent markers, which I know they don't come off of fingers right away, but they are kind of one of the less messy ways you can do this. You can do it with paint. You also could use some nail polish colors that maybe you aren't as fond of anymore, and that's a great way to get a durable picture that isn't gonna wash off the first time it rains. So there's my little heart. And I think it'll be kind of fun to just put these different places and let people find them. Connecting though with stories, even though this does inspire people to wonder and tell stories, I could create the rocks from the perspective of a story character. And so, because it's Earth Day, I have chosen the Lorax. And I love the Lorax, not just because it's a great story about taking care of the earth, but I can sometimes relate to how the Lorax feels. He gets really frustrated when he's trying to advocate for a message he's really passionate about, and nobody seems to want to hear his message. And so I get what that feels like sometimes. So I'm gonna join the Lorax in trying to speak for the trees. And so I'm gonna make a rock that maybe I will put under one of the trees in my neighborhood to get people to stop and to look up and just to see how beautiful they are. And so I'm gonna make mine say, enjoy nature. And then after I finish it, I'll probably put some decorations on it like I did my other one. But there you can see, I've got one that has that message from the Lorax. And so hopefully these have given you just some different ideas about how you can get outside and create some crafts that encourage you to tell stories to each other and to get other people to imagine. So I am going to go back outside and I'm going to take my rocks and put them under trees in different places where I'll find them. And I'm going to take my frog home and put that in my backyard and hope that one of Francesca's friends moves in. And hopefully you'll head outside and start collecting different items that you see to create your own crafts. So thank you very much for listening to this, and enjoy Earth Day.